have created another, I call it another unit, to fight or to combat corruption in Uganda. And you know that since the Parliament exhibition, there have been lots of things being uncovered about corruption in the country, and we've seen so many on the run. We have seen others also being held in custody for all things to do with corruption, and it is worrying here in the country. And I remember when we hosted someone from the IG, our focus has gone so much on corruption of money and all that. But he gave a guidance that corruption is not only that. It is also an aspect if you are paid and you are in a public office and you miss working, it is also corruption. So corruption is wide, it is too wide, which is why today we are going to be specifically discussing about the units that have been created so far to fight the corruption in the country, because just like I told you, it is overwhelming here in Uganda. So our topic today is, can the multiple units work together to fight corruption? That is what we are going to be answering here today, and I'm blessed to have a number of guests who will be taking us through this discussion. One is Miss Lilian Zawede, who is from Transparency International. Good morning, madam.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very fine. Good. Please do greet the viewer out there.
Hello, viewers. Good morning. Once again, I'm Lilian Zawede. I work as a program manager with Transparency International Uganda, and I'm happy to be here.
Wow, thank you so much. And on the far left is Mr. Gaira, who is the President, People's Progressive Party. You're most welcome, sir.
Incidentally, I'm acting chairman.
Acting chairman.
We don't have that title of president for now. Good morning, viewers. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
But allow me to briefly share with viewers about PPP.
Okay.
People's Progressive Party, as you know, was founded by Honorable Bidandi Sali.
Yes.
The former Minister of Local Government, has been in politics since 1959. Then, when he retired, we elected Dr. Diko Dole to become the chair, and thereafter he fell sick, and that is how I became the acting chair.
Okay.
But since its inception, we have only participated at presidential level in 2011. That is when Mzee Bidandi Sali stood for president. But we never won a seat in parliament. We managed to win a seat at local government at LC3 level and councillors.
Okay.
In 2016, we didn't field a presidential candidate. We managed to get a mayor and 7 councillors across. Recently, in 2021, we didn't field a presidential candidate, but we managed to penetrate parliament this time around. And our member of parliament is Honorable Santa Okot from Padel, with 12 councillors. So that is People's Progressive Party. As I speak now, we are embarking on a recruitment drive, structure building, identification of candidates at all levels, and this time around we feel we may field a presidential candidate.
All right.
We are just engaged in a discussion internally in the party as we scan through the political environment, if it will allow.
That's great. I'm really excited. You have a broad political landscape, so we shall share in so much really when it comes to today's topic. Now let me go to Miss Lilian. About our topic today, can these multiple units that are being created on a daily basis, I can say, help fight corruption, help fight corruption in the country? But my question first is, what is your view on the current corruption scandals in Uganda, what we are facing currently?
I must first of all say that corruption is one of the biggest problems that Uganda as a country is facing. And that is why you see that the word corruption is on the mouths of each and every person in this country, it clearly shows that there is a problem that has to be addressed. We have seen numerous scandals happening in this country. Some we've seen action being taken, and some we have seen the responsible authorities sitting back. We have also seen big people in government going to different communities saying, these people have been looting for you. You have been sharing the loot together with the person who has been identified as corrupt. But one of the issues that we need to look at is where is this nation going? Who are the responsible people that have a role to play when we talk about corruption? There are different stakeholders. And as we speak now, there's a drive about engaging citizens in the fight against corruption. But how best this is going to yield the desired results is something that we have to think about. The responsible people say the president, who has all the powers, we need to see more being done by him. For me, I look at the president as someone who can just come up and say, from now on, corruption is going to end. And with action, you say a word that corruption is going to end, and you act upon that word. We shall see results out of it. Recently, there are government officials, ministers, that were arrested, and now they are behind bars for corruption. We are yet to see what comes out of that, because we as civil society speak on behalf of the citizens out there. But what the citizens want is like to portray that you are talking about corruption and we are seeing change. We are seeing reduction in change. Impunity is going down. One of the causes of corruption is impunity. People are like, what will be done to me? Of course, nothing. The other person was corrupt and nothing was done. The other one swindled funds and they are still enjoying public office. Let the law bite. Let the culprits be put to book. Let them be arraigned before the public that this big person, however big they are, have been corrupt, and this is what has been done to them. If such measures are put in place, I'm very sure that even those that are planning to be corrupt will fear. That is what I can say for now.
Thank you. Now I'm going to Mr. Gaida. Still on the same question, your take about the current corruption scandals in the country, but also I want you, since you're in that political space as well, I want you to also give me maybe some comment if it is only the president entitled to ending corruption in this country, because we are only seeing reactions after his statement. So you'll also help me answer that. But first, give us your submission on what you see corruption in the country now.
First of all, corruption is a culture.
It's a culture.
It's a culture that develops, it keeps growing, you know, until you reach a time when you can't fight it. And fighting corruption is also a culture that you develop as a nation, as leaders, that you keep nurturing until the society gets, you know, get to know that this is bad and I can't dare do it. In countries like Japan, when a passenger in a train dodges to pay the receipt for transport, you find that passenger committing suicide.
Wow.
Just for failure to pay transport fees in a train. You find a Japanese committing suicide. In countries where they fought corruption, leaders, in Cuba, when Fidel Castro took power, you remember one of his closest friends he fought with, who engaged in corruption. And he was with others, but he said, let me start with you. When he was prosecuted, the man accepted that, yes, I engaged in corruption. And the punishment was death. So Fidel Castro said, I'm going to forgive you. The man said, no, don't forgive me. Let everybody learn from me. And Fidel Castro shed tears, but he executed his closest friend. Lee Kuan Yew, when Lee Kuan Yew was fighting corruption, it started with leaders. So here, we are talking about symptoms. We are talking about symptoms. What was the cause of all this corruption we are experiencing? It came from the bush in 1986. When President Museveni captured power, what he did, and sometimes you may not blame him because those are the people who were around him. What he did was to appoint all his people, the people he came with. And remember, majority of them were coming from his region.
Yes.
Right? So he appointed them in positions of leaderships. He appointed them in all government parastatals. And that is where the problem started. I'll give the viewers an example to drive my point home. Uganda Airlines was working very well, was running very well. He gave it to Mboijana. Uganda Coffee Marketing Board was working very well. He gave it to Kakwana. UCB, he gave it to Frank Moine. Uganda Railways Corporation, he gave it to Enos Tumosime. East African Compensation Fund was eaten by Katunji. Uganda Dairy Corporation was removed from Dr. Dick Odul to somebody again from his closest people, from his region. And what happens? All of the parastatals and departments were rained down. I just mentioned those few for the viewers to see where it started. Because now, these are freedom fighters. But most of them are either your relatives or your tribesmen. Right? So, you find it very difficult to bring them, to call them to order when they mess up things. That is where it starts. It started.
Okay.
Now, you go and ask yourself, the people who came from the bush, from 1986 to 1995, they had already acquired square miles and square miles of land under the watch of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. You mentioned them, Tinyefunza, like 10, 20 square miles. Tumukunde, like so many square miles. All the generals you know who came from the bush, they acquired within very few years square miles of land. But where were they buying that land? Okay. Government land at giveaway prices, 30,000 shillings an acre, 3,000 shillings an acre, and they ended up acquiring all those square miles under his watch. Now, when you recruit people, even in your own business, and decide to recruit your relatives in your own business, your own business is bound to collapse, because you may fail to call somebody to order. And since then, that is what he has been doing. In fact, maybe he trusts those people because he knows them, because he know when he know your grandfather, when he knows your father, then he thinks you are going to do better. Okay. That is what has been now building up to where we are. And where we have reached, it is no longer that only his family members or his tribesmen are in government positions. But those who have been recruited, even from other areas, learn from the people who have been in offices.
Okay.
Because, let me finish this point. If, for instance, you go to my home village in Butambala, and I work with UEB, you work with UCB. I'm giving an example. She works with UEB. She works with Uganda Dairy Corporation. But we come from the same village. If I come back with a Land Cruiser, what are you going to do?
Purchase the same.
You will look for the same. She'll look for the same. Okay. That is what has been happening with government officials. Now the problem, the President Museveni is just playing on our heads. He cannot fight corruption. He should have fought corruption by the time he came, but he never fought it. Okay. Where he has reached, it is only somebody who will come and undo what President Museveni has done. Because now even...
So for him, he can't fight corruption?
He can't, because as we speak, we are talking about Transparency International. I'm not referring to it, but now I'll talk about other civil society organizations.
I think I'm going to get back to you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Because I'll talk about them, then you will know the uphill task we have as a country to fight corruption, because everyone now is already, you know, is already curtailed in the corruption circle.
Okay, so recently, still in relation to that, I mean actually not recently, in today's report, Kahindo Tafire came out and said he urged the youth to only vote those people like him who are not corrupt. So, yes, it is very clear. The report is very clear. Like him, who are not corrupt. And then leave out those people who have been in corrupt scandals so that we can erase out corruption. Do you think we have so much freedom in the country? And is corruption, according to you, reducing? Or it is just increasing in our nation?
That question, from the perspective of the organization that I work for, we do have the Corruption Perception Index. And it's one of the tools that we use to measure corruption in a given country.
Okay.
As we stand now, the report shows that we launched it this year in January, and Uganda's score is 26 out of 100%. Yes.
That's an F9.
That still shows that there's a lot that we still have to do. We have not registered any kind of improvement relating to that report. And for us, that is one of the measures that we use. And we do carry out other researches which inform our interventions. But it is very, very evident that corruption has just increased.
Okay.
Sometimes we believe that, people believe that because of the talk about corruption, because the word corruption is at the mouth of each and every one, probably it is decreasing. That is also a certain theory that is being talked about by the citizens. But definitely we appreciate the work that government is doing. And as one of the institutions that is mandated to fight corruption in the country, that is the Inspectorate of Government, the police, the CIID, when you look at their reports, you realize they are doing quite a lot.
Okay.
But the question that we still have to ask ourselves is, why is corruption still increasing? What is it that we can all do together as stakeholders? Because each and everyone in this country is a stakeholder. We all have a role to play in the fight against corruption. But the question still remains, why is the word corruption still at our mouth? When you look at our neighbors in Rwanda, in Tanzania, the corruption perception index that I've told you about clearly shows that these countries are progressing. The laws are being implemented. Information is readily accessible to the communities or to the entire public. There's coordination among the different anti-corruption entities, which is kind of missing in this country. The law is biting. We are seeing the responsible authorities doing some work towards it, which is being appreciated by the communities. I don't know if you remember one time when a certain minister visited Chirudu Hospital, disguising herself.
Yes.
And what she found there was really disheartening. It is troubling. That is just an example of what is happening in different public centers. In different regions of this country. When you go to the schools, when you go to hospitals, when you go to very different places, public places, corruption is the talk.
Who is supposed to play the biggest role in the end of this? Is it government or is it the people?
I do believe that there is no single person or entity that can create the desired change. What we do need is concerted efforts. If the citizens can come up, if the political leaders here can come up, if government, everyone has a role to play. And if at all we have all those concerted efforts together, I'm sure that we can eradicate or reduce corruption in this country.
Okay.
But that is still missing. There's no coordination. If it is there, it is with different challenges. I don't know whether you're aware that in this country we do have the interagency forum that is being hosted or chaired by the Directorate of Ethics and Integrity. That forum has quite a number of anti-corruption agencies that has to sit periodically to discuss corruption-related issues. What is going on well? What isn't going on well? And draw up strategies on how the vice can be reduced or eradicated. But of course, this comes with different challenges. And we do have confidence in that entity. We believe that once there is good coordination of these anti-corruption stakeholders, we shall see some change.
Wow, interesting. I think the government, to some people think it is the government that has a big role to play in the end against corruption.
Concerted efforts. Concerted efforts.
Because, okay, what efforts do civilians have in the end of this?
One thing is we work with communities as a civil society organization. And when you speak to some people as if they have already given up.
Exactly.
They feel corruption cannot end. And once you have that at the back of your mind, believe it or not, there won't be any change. Okay. Because already your mind, your perception is that nothing will be done. But we keep calling upon citizens to report. That is one thing. Report corruption. There are designated agencies, even civil society organizations, by the way. You can report to them. Another thing is monitor government projects. Because once a person or let me say a company is aware that there are some eyes that are on this work that I'm doing. If it's construction of a school and they know that there's a community out there that is going to monitor, that is going to check what I have done, they will do good quality work.
Okay. Very interesting. I wanted to ask Mr. Saddam, how long can we wait to have corruption end? Because you did mention that we have to see another president who will work upon this. But I think we shall shift the discussion immediately after the break, because I see it is already past.
Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
Family TV, enriching lives.
My name is John Tereraho. I'm the provincial head of Leyte. I want to thank Church of Uganda Family TV for the job well done. Thank you for doing the right thing, bringing people to Christ so that you can transform their lives. That indeed is the best thing that can be done. As the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all the rest shall be added unto you. As we celebrate the Media Day on 11th August, we seek to raise 350 million shillings to reach out to as many people as possible. I want to appeal to the general public. I want to appeal to members of Church of Uganda to join Church of Uganda Family TV and support the cause of reaching out to more people. May God bless you as you mobilize resources for this noble cause. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Family TV, enriching lives. Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
Oh yes, welcome back. It is an interesting one here. I wish you were also in here. We didn't actually go for a break, we continued. So the discussion has been going on. But well, I want to shift to Mr. Saddam, and my question is to you now, because you had told us how it started. Can you tell us how corruption can now be addressed, since we know how it started and what it is like in the country? How can it be addressed now?
You know, in her presentation, interestingly, she talked about Tanzania. In Tanzania, it did not come from the sky. It was built, it was nurtured. And it started with the leaders. It started with the leader, the topmost, and that was Nyerere. I was sharing with you here that you go to Tanzania and give somebody a bribe in office, he or she will look at Nyerere's portrait, and she will tell you that Baba naona. Wacha Baba naona. The Baba he's talking about died more than 20 years ago. Yes. But the culture was built by the leader. In Rwanda, that she talked about, Kagame found corruption in Rwanda during Habyarimana's, reign power. But because Kagame was devoted to fighting corruption, that is why we are now talking about Rwanda. I have talked about Lee Kuan Yew. I have talked about Fidel Castro. And I can talk about so many others. So, the Americans say that the buck stops with you as a leader. Today, President Museveni, just like I said, I emphasize, he cannot fight corruption. Why? You appoint Betty Kamya as IGG. I'm not saying she's incompetent. But why are you appointing her? It's because she has been fighting you. You appoint other people because they have failed in an election. Somebody is competing with another in a political office. Now you want to withdraw one of the two because you don't want to lose that seat, and you make this one a minister, you make this one a commissioner, because he has failed there in a political competition. Now, those you are rewarding with the positions in government, you are rewarding politically. You cannot say that when they reach there, they are going to do what they are supposed to do. Political patronage. There was a time, Karoro Kurutu, there was a lady in UNSSF. I don't know whether you remember the name.
NSS.
UNSSF, there is a lady who comes from West Nile, who went to exile, and she's still now in exile. But in whose hands billions and billions of shillings in NSSF got lost, and she ran away. Do you know what the president said? He said that, you forgive that girl of mine, that daughter of mine. I picked her from the streets of Arua and gave her this whole responsibility. She has never seen money, so you forgive her. Now,
And that is money good.
that is money gone in billions. Billions. Now, Betty Kamya comes and say and propose that let us make an audit
Lifestyle
on
audit.
our lifestyles. The same president says, go slow, go slow. Because you may audit probably his own people. I don't know. But now that is somebody who is promising to fight corruption. And I don't want to say that it is only people in government who are engaging in corruption. Even people in the opposition today. If you ask what happened during the election of the Speaker of Parliament, during the time they elected Olanya, and the time they elected Honorable Anita Mongo to be the Speaker, the money that exchanged hands during that time did not spare even members of the opposition.
True.
It didn't. But it is something, because it started from that time. It has now eaten up almost every sphere of our society. And who can undo it? It will begin with the leadership at the top. I have been telling you here in your family, in your own families, as an example. If a child is misbehaving, a father does not need to bark at him when the visitors are around. A father shall just change his face and the child shall move away or shall behave. So that is what leaders do. But now, here is the president who is fighting corruption, allegedly, but now is appointing somebody whose track record is, stained with the criminal, offenses, or a convicted one for that matter.
But they say send a thief to catch a thief.
Now that is now the problem. Now a thief, and to make things worse, let me not go there, because sometimes when you talk about these issues, and I have been writing articles in the Observer for quite some time, but there was a time I wrote about tribalism. But I had to make it very clear that when I'm mentioning names, I'm not necessarily saying that this region is the one that is probably eating. I'm only saying these names are eating on behalf of the other people in the region, because you may find in the other region that you are talking about that majority of people are even worse than the way we are here. You go in Western region, you'll find poverty biting people as if they are not in Uganda. But these people who are here that the president has put in government offices, who cannot indict each other because they know one another, cannot turn around to be the one fighting corruption. I was laughing at Otafiri, General Otafiri. General Otafiri recently has been embroiled in a scandal of land in Mukono. And which land? Land for government ranchers. Government ranchers. Land belonging to government. So they shared it. So somebody is saying, for me, I bought it legally. Right? But if you are a government minister, and a government official for that matter, how come that you are the one who buy government land? I have told you how they shared it a long time ago. Now, even now, what is remaining, he's among those who are embroiled in those scandals. But he's now inciting young people that they should wake up and fight against corruption. That is not bad. But I'm saying, he's not meaning what he's saying. So, the point I'm making is that, yes, I agree with you that everybody, every stakeholder is supposed to work together. It must be a concerted effort, as you said. But as long as there is no goodwill at the topmost leadership of the country, all this fight shall be in futility. In futility. It will not go anywhere.
Okay.
It will not go anywhere. My former president, Mzee Bidan Salih, as I told you, was in politics since 1959. He has been in government, in every government ever since. At no one point in time, you can hear that old man being mentioned anywhere in any scandal. In any scandal. You know, that is what makes a leader.
Okay.
Now, even me now, I fear engaging in any, because how am I going to look at him?
Okay, sure.
How am I going to look at him? That is what makes leaders.
Okay. Now, I think I will get back to you. And let's talk about the role of civil society organization in fighting the end against corruption, because I believe there is hope. According to your submission, there is hope to end corruption. What is the role of, and maybe if you can also include the role of the public, but first the role of CSOs.
Okay, I think I somehow mentioned about the role of the public.
Okay.
That is by reporting, engaging in monitoring, yeah, and spreading the anti-corruption message. What we do as an organization is to empower the communities to have knowledge, because information is power. That is something that we always put at the forefront.
Okay.
We do believe that if communities or if people out there have the necessary information that can enable them, one, to report, that can enable them to monitor any government programs or projects, they will be able to make a great contribution towards this kind of work.
Okay.
So as an organization that is working towards promoting transparency and accountability, we do put both citizens and the duty bearers at the forefront. One, we do research.
Okay.
And research informs most of the work that we do. Maybe one thing to mention is that corruption cuts across different sectors. It affects different areas in this country. So what we do as an organization is to do research. For example, if it is an issue relating to health, we do research, say, on absenteeism, because absenteeism is a form of corruption. Why are teachers absent? Why is the situation as it is? Why do we have collapsing buildings in schools? Why is the situation like the way it is? So we do research on that, and after the research, we engage with the people that matter, and those are the duty bearers from government, the technical wing, and present this information to them.
Okay.
One of the things we have realized is people say we were not aware that this is happening, and what we do is to fill that gap. We give them the information that, well, this is happening. How are you going to go about it? And sometimes we bring both of them at the same platform. Other times we engage each party differently, because the feedback that we can get when we meet you as, say, a government official may be different when we have you and the community in the same space. So we do use different mechanisms to ensure that we give these people the feedback and we see how things can move on. So as one thing is to do research, then the other one is to engage the communities. We normally work with, we call them the community monitors, because we believe these people have a critical role to play. One is they preach the message to the rest of the community members. One of the things also that we have realized is there are very many people out there that do not know that they have a role to play in the fight against corruption. Like I clearly said, sometimes people believe that the work of fighting corruption is with government.
Sure.
So let them do their work. I have no mandate. I have no role to play in that, which is wrong. Communities too have a role to play. So we keep reminding them as much as possible that you have a role to play. And we do this by meeting a smaller group, the community monitors, give them, empower them with knowledge, with information, and release them to go preach the word. We also create platforms. We call them the community barazas. There are different issues happening in communities. And sometimes the communities have no opportunity to meet their leaders. So we bring them on the same space, in the same space, at the same level, where communities are given an opportunity to share the challenges they are facing. And they should be related to the work that we do. How do we promote transparency? How do we promote accountability in the different communities? So these people share the same platform, they present their issues, and we get the leaders responsible respond to the issues that have been presented. Yeah.
All right.
And more as we discuss.
Okay, surely. And now, unfortunately, I'm going to advocate to my bosses when we are talking about corruption, they'd be giving us 2 hours. Because surely 1 hour is not enough. Now, as we wind up, Mr. Saddam, I want you to tell me, is there hope to end corruption in the country? But also, please, you can use the same minutes to also wind up, giving your last remarks, please.
Of course there is. First of all, we are talking about it. That alone is a very, very good development. And if you keep talking about something, sometimes you reach a time when everybody is knowledgeable about what is going on, and it can be easy to build a critical mass to fight such a thing. So I implore them and all political leaders to keep talking about it. But I don't have any trust, any belief that at this moment in time, when President Museveni is in his evening times, that he can do anything about fighting corruption. And nobody has ever done it at that age. When you have been in power for all that long, you are now trying to look into your retirement, and then you think you have an energy to fight something that has been there over a period of time. So, but I have a feeling that the next government that will come, the first thing, and it will be the first issue to talk about, I'm coming to fight corruption. Once we have built that critical mass and people vote you on that card, on the ticket of fighting corruption, I think such a leader shall try to reverse this vice that the country is experiencing.
But the 10-point program had corruption as one of the key issues that were supposed to be looked at. But 30 plus years down the road,
but you know,
it is just a
you are talking about 10 points program. They were 10. You can't say that President Museveni, among the 10 points program, he has not done anything. He has done some of them. He talked about security. Of course. You know, we are now talking about one element of corruption. Of course, there are some others, But you cannot say that ever since President Museveni took power, he has not done anything. No.
Sure.
You can only say he has failed in this area and in this area.
All right.
So any other leader that comes after him, I think one of the most important area is corruption that president should tackle.
Okay.
And for me, I think we need to realign the leadership of our country, the politics, because just like I told you, even in the opposition, we are not innocent
So
about this matter.
the electorates have power in this regard.
Yes, they do, but the mindset of leaders must change. People who come to acquire, people who sell their houses and come and occupy political positions. People who buy, their way to the civil service. You are applying for a position, you pay 15 million shillings or 20 or 30, right? Now, when you are appointed,
You have to recover.
then you
it.
have to recover the money. But even that one you gave money, who is going to be your boss? Shall never talk about you even when you abscond from your job.
Oh, yes.
So these are things that we need to keep talking about. But just like I said, I want to emphasize that the buck stops with the leader.
All right.
The moment the leader is determined to change the mindset, people will begin to behave the way he behaves. You saw here Dr. Bukenya, Professor Bukenya behaving like His Excellency the President, mingling eyes, changing his face, because you want to behave as the leader.
Okay,
People
so
now
as-
behave
as-
like Bobby Wine. If Bobby Wine say, don't say this as my supporters, do you think they will do it?
No.
No, because he is the leader. So it starts with the leaders, the rest comes later.
Wow, thank you so much, Miss Lillian. As you wind up, please.
Yeah, the fight against corruption.
And you can also kindly talk about Transparency International, just briefly.
Yeah. So Transparency International Uganda is an NGO. We have been in existence for over 30 years, doing the work of promoting transparency and accountability. And corruption is one of the aspects that we do look at critically. Yeah, we do our work, like I mentioned, in different parts of this country, over 50 districts where we operate, in different areas like education, health, production, agriculture, among others. And in all that we do, our desire is to see a country, a Uganda, that is free of corruption. So as I wind up, I want to encourage everyone out there that wherever or whenever you see someone talking about anti-corruption, be an ally, because together we can create the desired change.
All right. Wow. Thank you so much. That is Miss Lillian Zawede, who is from Transparency International, and Mr. Saddam Gaira there, who is the acting chairperson of the People's Progressive Party. You can call it PPP, and it has been an interesting discussion, but just like I told you, I wish we can be having like 2 hours to elaborate much on corruption, because you and I must know this knowledge and know how to really fight corruption. It is not only a mandate of the government to fight corruption, it actually starts with you, how you grow up and all those things. When I was growing up in school, they used to tell me that corruption starts at the earliest stage. How do you treat your children? Do you give them sweets when they do work? Oh, that is corruption. Anyway, it has been a great one, and I appreciate that you have joined us. If you have any submission, you can reach out on our social media platforms, but also reach out to them here. My name is Luke Majumba Alnaitwe. I want to wish you a lovely day, but we have been powered by Protea Hotel, by Marriott in Entebbe.
Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV.